This is me, performing an unthinkable act. There's a reason. For now, let's just call it gravity. But let me back up a minute and explain. On this secluded Long Island hilltop street where I live, people pretty much stay put and stay private. They raise their kids, babysit their grandkids, then dodder around alone in their wooden boxes, looking out at the trees, until one day you hear that they've died and gone into the ground in another wooden box. Their house sits empty a while, a dumpster materializes, fills up, departs, and all their things go into the ground too. I'm like them, I guess, and also not like them. I still live with people. I still go to work. I still occasionally plant things in the garden. I still drive a car, a 15-year-old car, but I like it. I'm not a consumer. In fact, an anti-consumer. I'm not a hoarder either. Maybe because the early part of my life was spent in very cramped quarters, I enjoy having some space around me. I am sentimental, though. If someone who loves me gives me a thing, I will hold on to that thing forever. Especially if it's a child. Not necessarily my own child. I will be attached to that thing. I have to ask myself, out of all the tens of thousands of possessions that passed through my hands in my lifetime, where did they all go? The few things that are still around, I mean, it's a handful, possibly an armful. That's it. Why are these few things still here? I won't say it's because I put them in a safe place, because for me, that's the best way to lose things lately. Of course, some things are kind of big and not so easy to misplace. There's a few things in this closet right here. These are things, 16mm movie film that was shot by my father when he was a young man, shooting the family, the children, the relatives. It's a thing, but it's more than a thing, too. It's people's lives. It's people on these strips of film, and the people themselves are not here anymore. And I have a whole box of these in the closet. And guess what else? I still have the machine that these were projected on. My father's 16mm projector. Always loved this. What a lovely piece. Heavy, beautiful machine. Just the touch of this machine, the feel, the shape, makes me feel good. And things that are kind of big, you don't lose them. These things are wonderful. Who doesn't love the first, in my case, the only electric toy train set that you had as a child? And look, these are beautiful. Look at these things. Look at that locomotive. They go. I still play with them sometimes. When I was a kid, I wasn't allowed, really. But now I can do as I please. And, toys, of course, are the one thing that I treasure. Probably most people. I have lots of toys. I have lots of toys in this other room here. If you come down this way, where all my toys are. I have things in little places here and there in this house. Favorite things. I have, let me see, toys. I have an old tank that was given to me. Used to go. You will have to wind it up, but it will go. Another tank that you pushed and it would go to, would make sparks. I have a racing car. It had a crank, which I have lost, but it would scoot across the floor. This one here had wheels, and it had a propeller, but no more. This one was very sturdy. Everybody had a bank, and this first toy that I can remember choosing for myself, I must have been not even, maybe 3. You press the lever on this box camera, and a little clown face pops out. A 3-year-old thought that was pretty neat. This is my sister's favorite toy. And I had a favorite toy too. A little frog. He lost his legs, but I still have them. Thinking maybe someday I'll be able to put him back on again. Froggy. And not everything I keep is a toy. I have specimens, black widows, scorpions that my father brought home from the desert when he was young in 1937. Here's a nail, a bent nail. I spent 3 weeks looking for, sort of, trying to find remnants of his CCC camp. This is all that's left. Here's my father's CCC cap when he was in California. Now here's a question. Are books things? And I say, well, sometimes. In a few cases, a book is a thing. The Brave Little Steam Shovel, the first book that was given to me that I could actually understand and look at on my own afterwards and remember the story. So I kept it. And the first book that was ever read to me, the story of Dr. Dolittle, my father read to me a little bit every day. I was enthralled. And the first book I ever read by myself. The first book that I ever stayed up all night to read because I couldn't stop. It's called The Wonderful Flight to the Mushroom Planet. And it was a real adventure for me too. Because it was the first time I stayed awake when the whole rest of the world was sleeping. I still have baby shoes from my third daughter, which we'll never get rid of. And here's more shoes. 2 daughters who are almost the same size. Daughter number 1 and daughter number 2, I still have their shoes. And, of course, I have to have my little baby boy's sneakers, too. I keep those. And, you know, a little assortment of stuff of theirs. Some little socks and one little sock, a glove, and a bathing suit that belonged to my son. Now, there's other things around here. If I look, I'm sure I can find some. Oh, the scene of the crime. Too many books in this house. Books about everything. Books in every voice. Too many. Too many, finally. That day comes. Too many. You know, wherever there's a corner, there's books. Books that you can't give away. Irish fairy tales. And Ivanhoe. I didn't like that one. And my father's law books from when he was in his 20s. Here, Black's Law Dictionary. The name is still in there. Why do I still have these? I don't know. But I do. And anywhere you look here, more books. More books, more books, more books. Books I used in high school. Latin books, Greek books. There's me, my writing is there. My father's library. Everybody's here. My dad's classic book. collections of stories and stuff. Doesn't matter where you go. The house is full of books. Everywhere in this house. Of course, there are other things in this house besides books. Big things and small things. My mother's sewing machine that she used to make her own clothes on for a long time. Still have it here. Her candlestick holders that she prized. A lamp that she liked. I guess I still like it myself. I have it. My father's Victrola that he played only infrequent, very rarely actually. Once in a while, let us children play it. I have a favorite record here. Pan, it's called, by the Sportsman Quartet. I used to love to listen to this record. It was such a happy record. And I still like listening to it. There was something just so simply joyous about this song. And I have, in the drawers here, I have a few things. I have a hairbrush of my father's that somehow survived a long time. I have his razor that he used every day. I have my father's old stapler that I still use. A couple of tools of his. A wrench, a level, a screwdriver. These work better than the tools that you buy today. I have the cup he used only once in a rare while when he didn't feel well. He would fill that with milk and you knead a biscuit and eat it to soothe his stomach. I have things of mine. I have this book given to me when I graduated from 8th grade with all my little classmates' pictures in it, and the girl I had a crush on, and the other girl I had a crush on. I had them both. I have still the Donald Duck wristwatch that was given to me in 7th grade. I was allowed to wear it to school. It stopped at 2 o'clock. And this odd object is something my father kept in his dresser drawer. We were, as children, allowed to look at it but not touch it. We knew it had human teeth in it. We didn't know whose teeth they were. Now that I inherited it, I know. These are our own baby teeth that my father saved, and now I save. I save things for reasons of my own, I guess. The ceramic objects my children made for me, why would I not save those? Of course, they're precious to me. And other little things, salt and pepper shakers that we used in my home when I was a child. They're still here. The sugar bowl that sat on our kitchen table. Still have that. Photographs of my parents, my grandparents, my ancestors. There are literally thousands and thousands of photos in this house. So we're not going to talk about those as things. These are toys that my children used to play with. And when I was planting in the garden, I dug these up. They had already begun to rot into the soil. They're very old. I think of them as being rescued in a strange way. And here's a real irony. This little container used to hold 2 arrowheads lost by Native American hunters 3,000-4,000 years ago, probably. And my children found them in the backyard in the brambles. They came running in the house with them. Look! I kept them safe for a long time. Now I have no idea what happened to them. I can't explain why this is empty, but in a way I can explain. Everything has to go into the ground. Gravity, I call it. So there's lots and lots of things in this house, here and there in little corners, They mean something, certainly mean something to me, but the problem is I have to figure out now what. I promised myself I wouldn't do this because these images are not really things, just abstractions of a much richer archive that exists in my head of people, places, things, feelings. If I bump my head real hard, a lot of the archive will just disappear for good. Just as these films are going to disintegrate, already are disintegrating. In fact, it isn't that long ago, not even 10 years, I looked at these films in an entirely different way. I actually thought it was my job to make a coherence from them and transmit it, if to nobody else then to my children. And I undertook that job very earnestly. I don't think that way now. I think that folks are much too busy racing through the arc of their own lives to care much about the arc of anybody else's life. They're just busy being. That's what dumpsters are for. So this is just for me to do. I can't save a single thing from the dumpster to take with me. And if I could, what would I take? A baby shoe? A rubber frog? A box full of baby teeth? No, I just have to be at peace as I sit here looking at these images, which seem strangely different to my eye just now. The dead ones seem not more alive, but more beautiful. As I go backward in time, backward into the grayscale world, backward further, personally backward, to the world before logic, and even before words, and thought, and time. Here, maybe, is the meeting point between the end and the beginning. Here, meaning and being are one. After all, we love things because we love our lives, which fill up as we go, and the more they hold, the better. You know, if I could take one thing, maybe my very first toy, which I have no memory of. It was in the world before I got here. It was with me for a while, then it disappeared. Gravity took it. But it still exists somewhere, so the wise men tell us. I'd love to hold that toy in my hand one more time.